Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday Roast. I'm Phil Carroll.
And I'm Kevin Hornsby.
Sunday the 12th of November, and we're coming to you from Dublin. So how's your week been so far, Kev? I mean, obviously we can go on to the reason why we're in Dublin later on, but what have you learned this week?
What have I learned this week? I want to live by the Mediterranean Sea is what I've learned.
Too cold for you. It's been glorious weather, though. To be fair, we've been lucky with the weather. It's been good.
Yeah, I came back to Cairo on Monday afternoon, did some stuff around Cairo during the week while I was working, and then on Thursday we flew to Dublin, and we're coming to you on Saturday morning from Dublin after an eye-opening day, I think, in Ireland.
Yeah. So what we had this week in the news, King Charles delivered his first King's Speech as the monarch during the state opening of Parliament on Monday. The event marked the start of parliamentary year and gives the government an opportunity to outline its priorities. The speech, written by the government and delivered in a neutral tone, lasted 10 minutes and included plans for new laws and foreign policy objectives. The ceremony involves traditional elements like the King's procession from Buckingham Palace and Black Rod summoning MPs to the House of Lords. The 2023 speech outlined 21 proposed laws focusing on investment, health and justice. Following the speech, MPs debate its contents for about 5 days before voting, a process largely symbolic as government defeat is rare. So what did you make of any of the laws? I mean, obviously he has to remain very, very impartial. I think looking at his comments, there was obviously laws around the licensing of oil and gas, which is something that, as the Green King, as he's known, is very much into the green space. I bet he was saying a lot of those laws through gritted teeth, wouldn't you think?
I would imagine so. But the one that affected one of the shares that we're covering the most was a thing to do with the vapes, I think, in Chill. And again, the press took that out of context. Vapes will be banned tomorrow. In fact, it'll be retrospective. They'll be banned last week, And actually, I think it's unlikely they'll be banned because effectively it was banned or regulated as in taxed. I had the conversation with Callum during the week about this. What they're going to tax? The only thing they can tax is nicotine. So from that perspective, it puts Chill in the box seat. Surely we have non-nicotine vapes. Even if they tax them in some way, shape or form, no way really of taxing them in the same way as a nicotine vape. Yeah, other than that, to be honest, King's Speech passed me by. It was more the things that were in it. I think, yes, King Charles certainly is Mr. Green. And if he had his choice with the laws, I don't think some of those would have been suggested.
Yeah, and obviously on Saturday we saw, in fact I'm watching it live now, we saw the Met Police gearing up for a massive security operation for the large pro-Palestinian march in London. Obviously it coincided with the Armistice Day, and we just seen the 11 a.m., the 1 minute silence. There was concern of clashes with far-right groups. We talked about the firms from the football clubs, wasn't it, that were meant to be assembling in London. And obviously protesters have been warned against approaching the cenotaph. It's kind of people trying to point the finger. I think Rishi Sunak basically called the timing disrespectful. And he also said to the head of the Met that it was on his sort of head be it if there was any issues, because he didn't agree that these marches should go ahead. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's becoming a political football, isn't it? And what's the point? I don't know. We should let people. I personally think we should let people protest. We're supposedly a democracy, if that's what they believe. But the whole thing's become a game, and who really cares? I mean, we should be worrying about the people in Gaza and the West Bank as people, not as this is the way it should be. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just fun and games as usual. Certainly what's happened in the Labour Party is the Labour just sticking to its guns.
Falling apart, isn't it, as well? I think with Keir Starmer and everything, I think he's completely lost the confidence of his, especially a lot of the pro-Palestinian and obviously his Muslim constituencies.
Yeah, because of the whole situation, I think people don't quite understand that, Jerusalem and the mosque on the mount, if you like, in Jerusalem, is the third most holy site in Islam. And it really means something. It really means something to them. So this isn't just a fight about how they're treating the Palestinian people. This is a big deal in Islamic communities. So I don't think people quite get that. It's not just as simple as what's happening in terms of the ground. So yeah, it's not good. Let's put it that way. The whole thing's not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to the reason why we're in Dublin. Obviously, put two and two together and deduce the fact that it's home of Conroy Gold and natural resources. So yesterday we headed up to the three of the sites, didn't we, on the coast? And what we'll do is we'll play back now some of the audio recordings we made on that site visit.
Yeah.
And we're joined by Kevin McNulty, the geologist of Conroy Gold and Natural Resources. Welcome, Kevin.
Well, thanks very much, Phil. I'm just going to give you a rundown of what we're going to see today. First of all, we're driving up from Dublin up to our core facility, where we're going to have a look at some of the outcrop there and mineralisation in the drill core. We have some quite nice grades in some of that core, going up to over 40 grams a tonne in some of the material. And there is some outcrop there that we've taken from our Creenkill area, which we'll go to see in the fields, where we have that slab there, where we have 123 grams a tonne material with visible gold in it, and it's absolutely peppered throughout that material. Then we're going to drive down, as I say, to Creenkill, which will be our first stop, and that is in the new Skullmartin gold trend, and that's the first gold project in that trend, which is over 24 kilometres in length. And again, we'll see the outcrop where those samples were taken, which, as I say, is fantastic. Standing on it, and it's 123 grams a tonne material, looking at it on the ground. We think there's a series of zones present there, with some potential actually in between those zones as well. Then we'll probably head back to the core shed, the core facility, and we will then get some lunch and get some sandwiches, and then we'll head out to Clontibret, which is where it all started. Back in the 1950s, the old antimony mine was there. They pumped those out, back channel sampled them and got some gold. There was some drilling done around it, but we really took it over then, and we built a resource there. On less than 20% of that target, we have a resource of over 500,000 ounces at 2 grams a tonne and a 1 gram a tonne cut-off. We've also done a scoping study, which is a sort of economic assessment of the mining potential for there, and we've done some metallurgical test work, all of which have been very positive in moving forward towards a mining scenario. But again, what we've done is only on a small portion of that overall target. That's on 20% of that overall target. More importantly, we have gold also in bedrock outside those areas. So outside the resource area to the north, about 250 metres outside the resource area, we have gold in bedrock there at 5.6 grams a tonne. And then another further 250 metres to the north of that, we have trenching, where we're looking at 16.5 metres at 6.5 grams a tonne present in there.
So this is another half kilometre that could expand outwards.
Absolutely, at least. And then in the Ballygreeny area, we also have a substantial area where we're seeing gold in bedrock present there as well. After visiting Clontibret, we will then drive to the Clay Lake anomaly. We'll probably visit the Cargill Scorn section first, where we're seeing trenching present there, where we're getting 12 metres at 2.2 grams a tonne, and then drilling we have 6 metres at over 6 grams a tonne present there. And that's at one end. And this anomaly is big. It's about 3 kilometres long, and it gets up to about 2 kilometres in width. Just to give you an idea of the scale of that, a mine I worked on in Ghana, the Teberebi gold mine, that was about 3 kilometres in length, and the mining which ranged from 10 to 25 metres. The grades we were mining was 1 to 1.5 grams a tonne. We were producing about 350,000 ounces per annum. That was a multi-million ounce deposit. And this has the scalability of that. The other end of the 3 kilometres we'll be going to is where we're actually drilling at present, where we have the longest gold intersection in the British Isles at over 100 metres and 0.6 grams a tonne. But not only that, our step out drilling from that, we've identified a zone of 40.5 metres and 1.2 grams a tonne. And that's 200 metres away from the intersection. So we're starting to see significant widths and significant extension in these zones, which is looking very exciting in my view.
And hopefully we'll see some of the drilling in action, and obviously see some of the cores being taken out.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's the whole idea of today, is to give you a feel for the scale of the project. And don't forget, what you'll be seeing today is only really a small portion of our overall 65 kilometre main gold trend, and you'll just be seeing one location on the 24 kilometre gold trend in Skulmartin. So you're just looking at the northeast extent of the Creenkill exposure, where we've been identified the gold mineralisation, where we have the 123 grams a tonne. Just to the northeast quarry area, the floor here, we've identified mineralisation down here, where we've got over 5 grams a tonne, and then the other end I was telling you, which has got the 17.2 grams a tonne material. So that all forms part of the one zone here, which I think is, so far we've identified about 160 odd metres, but it extends open, and where open the soil anomaly still extends further in both areas, both directions. We've driven from the core facilities in Clontibret, and we're now standing in the centre of the resource area in Clontibret. And there we have the weather station, which is in operation. That's for environmental studies going forward. And in Clontibret, so we've come down here and along the road here, in Clontibret, on 20% of the anomaly, we already have a resource established of about 500,000 ounces. That resource is at 2 grams a tonne and a 1 gram a tonne cut off. It doesn't go to depth either. The deepest drilling that we've done in Clontibret to date has been to about 350 metres. But most of the drilling in Clontibret is down to 100 to 200 metres, which is, again, sort of pit level operations that we'll be looking at. But there is an awful lot of expansion here in Clontibret. As I say, we have the resource. That's only covering 20% of the area. So to the north, we have some outcrop, 250 metres outside the resource area, where we're seeing 5.6 grams a tonne. And then further, another 250 metres further from that, we have what we refer to as the St Mary's Creamery area, Corkaskey, which we have trenching there, 16.5 metres at 6.5 grams a tonne. So some pretty impressive grades. And then we have all the Ballygreeny area. I don't know if you can see over here, right? The resource is right in here, this area. You see that sort of radio tower there, or the sort of tower? Keep going for another kilometre. That's still in the Clontibret anomaly. Okay? So the resource comes short of we're looking at the farm buildings up here. That's where the stockwork runs. So the stockwork runs from those farm buildings here down in, and actually outcrops in the stream down here, and then comes up through behind these farm buildings where we're standing here at the moment.
Down on the far side over there was where we saw them drilling 18 months ago.
Yes, exactly. Then off that, off the stockwork zone, and Demir were concentrating primarily on the stockwork zone when we were doing the drilling here, we have the series of lodes. And those lodes are the high-grade lodes, which I was talking to you in the shed. That's where you're getting grades up to 36 and more grams a tonne. In the presentation I showed you, the 2.5 metres at 25 grams a tonne type of material. Jammed, really high-grade mineralisation, really nice. And you have a whole series of those coming off from the stockwork. Okay, and then, as I say, to the north, it sort of varies, but you're generally looking at about 10 metres interval, but it sort of varies a bit. So some will be closer and some will be further. So again, this is the centre of where we've done the scoping study, the pit area, where we're looking at a small mining operation already that we could put in place here. But as I say, outside that, those red brick houses, to the north of those, near those was where we have the outcrop down there. All the way over here is still part of the anomaly.
So you're going to have to dig the GAA field up?
No, we probably work around it. But, like all these things, like what was done in the gypsum mine operation, they actually bought the GAA pitches and they relocated it.
Yeah, put it somewhere else.
So, obviously you'll look at the finances and whether it's worth your while doing that, or whether you're better off just leaving it in situ. That's a financial decision really to be made. Give you an update from where we were. We were just down at Clontibret. We've now come to the Clay Lake area. We're at the Carroll section of the Clay Lake gold target. In the field here, we have done some work, and we have trenching in that field at 12 metres at 2.2 grams a tonne, and drilling over 6.5 metres at over 6 grams a tonne. I will challenge any of you to pick out where the trenching is done, but I'll give you a hint.
Give me a lawnmower and I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when it's trenched. So That's the field there,
Yeah.
where it's trenched. You just wouldn't spot, and that's what we want from the local people. So they feel comfortable knowing that when we've done the work, that we will restore it back, and all the farmers see and talk to each other, and they can see that obviously. Just to give you an idea of scale, remember I sort of talked about that this is quite a large target, and we believe the potential of this target is quite significant. If we sort of walk over here, this is one end of the Clay Lake target. You see that wind turbine through the trees there?
Yep.
Well, that's the other end of the Clay Lake target. That's 3 kilometres away. And that's mineralised. That's where we drilled the 100 metres section at 0.6 grams a tonne. And that's where we're currently drilling. So from here, all the way over to there, that's all gold potential.
And how wide?
It's 2 kilometres wide in parts.
Oh, no.
No, this is one end, and that's the other end. The middle is in between. We're going over towards here next. The wind turbine is just here. Okay?
So 20 is the red.
Greater than
Greater
20.
than 20, yeah.
This is
Golden soils, yeah. But we've drilled here and trenched here. As I say,
billion.
you've got 12 metres here over 2 grams a tonne.
And one is profitable.
No, this isn't.
This isn't grams per tonne. This is parts per billion.
Parts per billion in the
This
soil.
is just the soil sample.
Okay.
To give you an indication of where to go trenching and drilling for the gold. So
These are the drill results.
drill results here. So
0.6, 1.4, 1.2, 3.
yeah, so 40 still.
0.5,
Yeah.
1.3.
That was the original outcrop discovery that we found.
Yeah. And then here,
That's still high then.
here
Yeah.
in this field, it was 6.6 grams per tonne.
So here we are at Clay Lake, or the Derry Hennet section of the Clay Lake anomaly. We're at the drill rig here. So this is the field inside here. They're the teeth that grab the core and bring it up. This hole's going down to about 300 metres, but we're looking at some nice bits of core here that have come up through it. Over there, about 100 metres away, is where we did the intersections where we got the 100 metres at 0.6 grams a tonne. Hole 5 was over there where we got 40.5 metres at 1.2 grams a tonne. The other rig in operation is working the other side, so that's going to extend the mineralisation out further out that way, and then this is sort of hole between the two areas.
So just talk us through what we're looking at. Obviously, we've got the cores in these boxes in front of us, but what first thing that you springs to mind when you see the colouring of this?
So yeah, the first couple of things you want to look for is the quartz veining. So this is the white sort of veins in it, and then also these black shale bands, and obviously then the sulfides associated with those black shales. So you're looking at those zones to log and identify. So that's the material you're looking for.
Okay, so here we are. It's approximately 4 p.m. We've had a full day activities at the Conroy Gold site visit. We've been impressed by what we've seen, Kev, haven't we? It's been certainly progress since we were last here. We've seen the 2 drill rigs on site there at Clay Lake, which we hadn't seen before. Obviously, the drill rig was at Clontibret. So what are your thoughts on it? What are your first thoughts?
I think I just see expansion of what we saw 18 months ago. Obviously, quite significant expansion at Clay Lake. Not so much at Clontibret, though stuff has happened at Clontibret, and a new gold strike, basically a new thing that was parallel or whatever to the current the district, if you like. So, and I suppose I've grasped the gravity and the size of Clay Lake. Last time we didn't really get into that, but now they've started to drill holes and they can see what the situation is. Being 3 kilometres long minimum, because it's still open at both ends, and potentially anything from hundreds of metres to 2 kilometres wide is a huge section of ground. And the gold, even though it's been drilled down to a couple of 100 metres, it could significantly go another 300, 400, 500, 600 metres deeper than that, and increase the reserve by multitudes. So DeMere are doing a lot of work. They've spent a good proportion of their first stage and moving on. So we have Kevin.
Yeah, the other Kevin. Give us your thoughts on what you've seen, the progress in the last 18 months since we've been to site.
I think it's absolutely been quite significant. The new gold trend, I don't think you guys were aware of the new gold trend when you came here last time. And the bit of rock that I was showing you in the core shed, which like it's totally peppered with gold in it. And it's not often you get to stand on a bit of outcrop which has 123 grams a ton. So that's all new. And then the significance.
Yeah, there's a piece in front of us that Kevin's got in his little his drinks tray there, his drink holder.
He's waving at me. And it was fantastic. But I think also the significance of Clay Lake. You know, I'm starting to build a significant resource there, doing the work there that needs to be done. You know, basically stepping out and seeing those great intersections. When you go from a section where you have 100-metre intersection, as I say, the widest gold zone in the British Isles, and then you step down 200 metres, which is a big step out for anyone, and being able to drill 40.5 metres at 1.2 grams a tonne. But not only that, it looks like the grade is increasing in that direction. So that gives you, a lot of confidence and happiness that you're getting that. And the anomaly, as you pointed out, is 2 kilometres wide. We could have this sequence repeated going through the anomaly because the style of it is a folding sequence. So we could have not just one zone, but maybe 2 or 3 zones within that anomaly. And I think that's the exciting thing as well. That, you could be looking at multiple million ounces just on that anomaly alone. And don't forget the deal that we have with the guys. As you know, it's per project basis. So,
And just reiterate, I think we talked about this before about the working capital, the CapEx, in terms of their funding.
They're funding everything, from my wages to the drilling to everything's being done, and they're funding it. So we're not having to go to the market to raise money to pay my wages or to pay the drilling or whatever else. This company, Demir, is paying for all the work that's being undertaken on the ground.
Really, just the top company is not funded effectively.
Yes.
So, the officer and the salaries and stuff like that. But that's it. Everybody who's on the field doing work and the drilling, as we saw, each drill hole's costing between 40 and 60,000 euros for a 200-metre depth. Every cent, if you like, is being picked up by Demir and will be until we get to stage 3, when it's mine ready, shovel ready, and then decisions can be made.
Which is brilliant. And that's on a project by project basis.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely fantastic.
So Jonathan came along with us today. What's your thoughts, Jonathan?
Well, I actually thought it was an excellent day, and I've never been to a mine before. And actually seeing the stuff in the ground, and we talked about some other mines in different countries and their grades and what they've got, and this is just way above that. I can't believe it. Time to buy a few more shares for me, I think, even though I've got lots already.
So it's been a great day. We're going to have a presentation this evening as well, and then a meal, and then obviously no drinks, straight to bed.
I believe you're saving the slide, the money shot for later on, aren't you, for the slides and everything, your presentation?
I've got some interesting bits in the presentation. Hopefully you will.
Good. We'll get a copy of those later on, as well. Absolutely. Over a bottle of red, did you say? 2 or 3. Okay, excellent.
And we're going to be speaking with Professor Conroy as well at the dinner. And yes, we're going to interview him, which will come after these notes. And you need to have a look at this, guys, because this could be one of those shares that is a life changer. You look at Carroll Gold when it was in the situation of starting to find the gold. It was worth £5 million, and this company is worth £5 million now. And actually, this has potential in millions of ounces to be at least as big, if not bigger. And we were having the discussions, if this mine opportunities were in Australia, what would it be worth?
Many more.
Questions on a postcard. But the fact is, because it's an island, and islands not associated with gold districts and gold amounts, people are not considering it. So have another look is all I'd say to you, because this opportunity, I think, could be a really good one.
Okay, so very interesting audio notes there. Obviously, Kevin McNulty, the geologist, on board with us there. We just heard. So, we obviously couldn't come all this way, Kevin, without introducing a very special guest. And we obviously thank Professor Richard Conroy, chairman of Conroy Gold Natural Resources, for your hospitality for the last couple of days. We've met your staff. Second time we've met a number of them, including Kevin McNulty. Brilliant tour of 3 of the sort of sites. Obviously, we saw Clontibret, Clay Lake, and the other one in the north, sorry, excuse the name, where you got the what we would define as bonanza grade gold, visible gold. So just want to say first off, starting that thanks very much, Richard, for your hospitality and for sort of showing us around the site for the last couple of days.
You're very welcome, indeed. And I think it was a great opportunity for you to familiarise with the situation as it is today. And I think Kevin, and indeed we have a very good backup team to Kevin, Andrew, and a number of the other geologists and so on, who I think you've met. So it was a pretty good team, and they're doing an excellent job on which is something that's now confirmed as being a major project indeed. And I'm delighted that you came on site to have a look for yourselves. And thank you very much to both of you for doing so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, we were here about 18 months ago. So there's been, obviously, we've seen continued progress at site. We've seen quite a few announcements to market of these different trenching results and assay results. I mean, just how are you feeling about progress in those 18 months since we were last here, Richard?
Feeling enormously happy. There were a lot of things that we indeed hoped would happen, indeed to some extent could anticipate might happen. But when it's actually confirmed, there's been an absolutely seismic change in the situation, as you probably realized yourselves from when you were over 18 months ago. Then a lot of it was we hoped, we believed, with good evidences. Now it is all there. We are in the unique position of having two gold trends. I don't think any company in the world is in that situation. And we've also got a partner in who's putting us as a priority to move forward and has ample financial resources to do so. So we're in a very good position.
Yes, so Richard, talk us through the situation, because I think Conroy Gold has been the story of Clontibret for over a decade, I think. But what we saw on the ground was that quite obviously Demir see a 3 kilometre strike length and a 2 kilometre width length at Clay Lake as quite obviously a huge possible resource. So just tell us how that sits with yourself and the board and as we move forward.
Well, it sits very well with ourselves. This is, to be quite honest, we thought it might be big. We didn't think it would be anywhere near as big as it's turning out to be. And not stiff at Clontibret. We've got a 500,000 ounce resource on 20% of Clontibret, and during the course of the drilling over this year, it's been proven by drilling that it extends considerably further in various directions, and yet we're still only looking at it down to a couple of 100 meters or so. And all the evidence is that it could be very, very big underneath. With the grades, there's that tendency to increase, and that can be very significant. So we're very pleased with Clontibret, even as it is at the moment. You could probably bring in a mine there relatively quickly, conventional open pit mine, and be producing perhaps somewhere between 20 and 30,000 ounces per annum. And that's very good. There's many a junior would give their eye teeth to be producing 20 to 30,000 ounces per annum. But remember, from the very beginning, and it's taken a long time, and I can appreciate people saying, oh, I've heard the story before and so on. Well, the story has come to reality now, in that we believe that Clontibret was just part of a trend. We never imagined it would be such a huge gold trend extending for over 40 miles. We thought it might be big, but not that big. We didn't expect to have as many of the targets that we have. You mentioned one of them that I think you saw yesterday. That target is an enormous target compared with Clontibret. It stretches for over a mile and is about half a mile wide in places. That is, by any standards, a very big target, and we've started a drilling program there. You can never guarantee the results until you see them, drilled and assayed and all the rest of it. But I would hope that we could have some quite interesting and very important drill results coming out over the next few months. So that is absolutely tremendous. That's world class that we're looking at there. And as I say, I'm not sniffing at Clontibret, and there are probably a number of other Clontibrets with a lot of targets. As you know, during the course of the year, we also had a magnificent discovery down at Creenkill with some of the best grades there that many people have ever seen in their professional lifetime. There are relatively few geologists that have ever come across 4 ounces of gold per ton. That's quite...
Yeah, Richard, don't tell anybody I stole a few rocks from there.
No, we're delighted with the progress we're making. Things that for years we've been working on, they're all coming together now, and coming together very rapidly. And as well as that, of course, we now have the financial backing and the technical backing of this joint venture. And this joint venture, again, is a very, very good one from our point of view. Again, I don't know of any junior companies who have managed to retain 42.5% of each mining project as it develops. As a junior, you'd be very thankful to hold on to 10%, never mind over 40%.
We take the current market capitalization of Conroy Gold, okay? And I'm going to make you an offer, okay? Clontibret's only obviously a small part of what possibly is available. So I will give you the £5 million, the whole value of Conroy's stock value now for Clontibret.
Yeah.
Will you take it?
Of course not. We've been there for doing this for some years, put in $1 million or so of our own money, and other people have invested as well. And those long-term investors are probably going to do extremely well indeed. If you're looking at something like a world-class gold deposit, you're looking at very serious money indeed. You're certainly not looking at 5 million. You're looking at a considerable multiple of that with a few extra zeros dropped on. If you even take, and we just said you about Clontibret, and I've mentioned 20 to 30,000 ounces per annum. Gold at the moment is just over $1,900. You do a simple back-of-the-envelope calculation on what's that worth just for one small part of Clontibret. If you now move up to what we're looking at in Clay Lake, that gets very, very big indeed. Some of the figures are almost hard to take. So anyone coming along with £5 million worth of shares, if you want to, well, we're certainly not selling out for it.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing literally back of the fag packet calculations yesterday, even on 100,000, I think it was, per annum in Clay Lake, just because of the sheer magnitude of it. And, you're talking about a net profit of 70 to 80 million pounds a year for a mine length of 25 years. Now, okay, there are setup costs and you have to put the mine in place and all the rest of it. But the thing that shone yesterday is that Demir are spending the money. Demir have spent, I don't know, 3-4 million pounds already, or euros already. They're going to spend and finish stage 1. Seems highly unlikely they're going to finish stage or not go for stage 2 to secure themselves the 40%. And, I think the market just does not get the magnitude of this. And yesterday we really did see it. 18 months ago when we saw Clay Lake, really it was just a field and there might be some potential. But now we see that the size of Clay Lake is, it's the sort of deposit that a major would take on just on its own if there was nothing else.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be very lucky to get it. Well, talking about majors, they've all been coming to see us, but we took the deliberate decision that we would not do a joint venture partnership. Risky decision, if you like, but I think we had a good reason for taking that decision, and it has worked out extremely well. And with the joint venture partner that we have at the moment, largely unknown in the name, but it's a privately owned company by the Koch family, who are one of the wealthiest families in the world. They are very interested, I think it's fair to say, very interested in it. It's their first major venture outside Turkey, and it's turning out to be very large indeed. And we certainly would, the funds are there, everything is there. There'll be all sorts of challenges and so on, but you're really looking at something very big. And if, by the way, any chance, for some reasons, which I'm quite sure most unlikely, but if for some reason they decided they didn't, well, quite frankly, there are a number of other people knocking on the door as it is. So
yeah,
in an extremely strong position.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do you think the market is maybe missing at the moment? Do you think that, because obviously you're in the phase 1 element or phase 1 stage where I think they've got to commit a certain, it's like about 4.5 or something million euros up to, and that'll earn them up 25%, and then the next phase is where they add an additional 15%. Do you think the market's waiting for them to commit to that? What do you think it's missing?
I think the market is missing it completely. The previous major discovery, which we've made nowhere near as big as this, but still a world-class discovery, we had a share price at the time of 20-odd p. We had everything out in the public domain for the market, so it was fully informed, and yet nobody was buying it, sitting there in the low 20s, and then some bright guys from Vancouver and Canada began to pick up shares, and that share price went up to £7.50, and some people made a lot of money on it. We can't control the market. That's not our business. Make up their own minds, buy shares, don't buy shares, whatever you like, but we know the actual value or likely value. In fact, we possibly don't know it, but we know it's going to be very large indeed. And that's what matters from the company point of view rather than the share price at any given moment in time. But I don't think anyone who wants to come into the company at the moment would find it easy to buy up very much of the company, but that's entirely up to themselves. It's a very poor market at the moment. It's almost not quite irrelevant to us. It's very relevant in many ways. But it's not a major concern. The fact of the matter is we have, and by the way, I just mentioned one gold trend that we have. We also discovered a second one. And again, we have the land position secured. We now have only over 1,000 square kilometres, and that's entirely within Conroy Gold and Natural Resources, other than a large part of it. Obviously, the joint venture can, and I'm sure will, earn into that. So it's an extraordinarily strong position. And one of the reasons for waiting and declining various offers of people coming in and not looking for any, and as you well know, the export approach does, but was that we felt it could be of enormous significance to the company to do the sort of joint venture deal which we've done now, which is an excellent joint venture deal. You'll find very few, if any, comparable in the industry.
Very favourable terms. I think that one thing as well that struck me from the visit is that the relationship you have with the landowners we met. We were greeted by some of the, obviously many of them in farming, and they had a smile on their face. They were very pleasant. They said hello, and I think that's the sort of relationship you've built up over many years, Richard, with these landowners.
Well, that's absolutely true. And not only me personally, although I meet and talk when I'm always available myself, and so is our managing director, Maureen Jones. But as well as that, from the very beginning, we have had that sort of relationship. If we even go out to take a soil sample in somebody's field, one of our guys, and you met them, will go out and meet the farmer, chat with them, explain what they're doing. If for some reason or another that prefers to do it in a few months' time with the crops down or whatever it may be, we always agree. We've taken over 20,000 samples now, so we've met an awful lot of landowners during the course of that. Equally well, if we're going to do a trench or drill a hole, we'll discuss it beforehand. Maureen Jones herself will talk to the farmer in those circumstances, and we are absolutely meticulous, as you've seen for yourself in the actual drilling. And then, as you've also, I think, seen for yourself at Cargill in restoration of the land. But I must say, even I was, well, not even I, but I was surprised in that under the due process of granting licenses, they're every so often advertised in the public that the government proposes to grant a license. And one might expect to get some objectors in, even if they're only cranks. We had not a single objection, which was, quite surprising. But there is big process. We now seem as though we're onto some very big things indeed. There'll be all the technical work to do. There'll be planning to get and all the rest of it. But it's a marvellous position to be in.
So, Professor Conroy, it was interesting to see the setup while we were here of the board. I think it's fair to say you're not getting any younger, the same as myself and many others. So, could you just put some colour on how you see the situation going over the coming years?
Well, just like we've tried as far as we can to anticipate things, to from the beginning be thinking about them. We also have been thinking about the succession or something, an accident or something like that were to happen, that there would be a smooth and immediate follow-up and take over. And so that's very much in hand. We've been very lucky with some very good people that we have on our board, with other connections which we have, and with our staff and so on. I have no particular intention of standing down anytime soon, but if I were to do so, and if Maureen Jones were to do so, there are people there, good people, ready, willing, to take over, and one's very comfortable about that. It's something we always bear in mind.
I think one thing that stood out to me, and especially at the dinner last night, was that this is also a family affair. Okay, you guys have kept this going through thick and thin. You know, the gold price 20 years ago was $200 or $300 an ounce, and no one in their right mind might have thought, "Oh, I'll carry on and make sure there's a gold district in Ireland." But you, as a family, put your hands in your pockets and you carried it on. And, I think that's going to be important going forward, as well as part of your family will carry on the legacy no matter what happens. Because when there's 4 or 5 producing mines in Ireland producing thousands and hundreds of thousands of ounces of gold, the odds are you're not going to be here. So the scenario is, it is very interesting to see what we saw and the people we met for the continuation of this whole situation.
And I have to absolutely agree with you. And there has been a strong family connection. We've been willing to put our hands in our pockets various ways and so on. But remember, we've been around this course before. When we started our zinc exploration in Ireland, people almost laughed at us and said the majors have been in. If there's anything else apart from the Tara mine, they'd have found it. Well, they didn't find it. We came along and we found Galmoy. And at one stage between our mine and Galmoy, the Sheen down the road that Chevron were interested in, and the Tara mine were between us producing over 30% of the entire European market for zinc. It's used in the automobile industry. So not only have we had the experience of looking at things, and we tend to look at things just not too much differently, but just seeing where can we come in? What is an opportunity that's there that hasn't perhaps been realized? We've done that with zinc, and now Ireland is an international zinc province. And every major in the zinc industry is in Ireland busily looking for zinc, and good luck to them. However, we had also decided that there was a prospect in gold. We never imagined it to be anywhere near as big, I have to admit that. But we've been round the course before in exploration. We've also been round the course before in bringing in a mine. So these are very, very useful things when you're setting up a program. Also, we're very focused. Our geologists, all the people on the team know we're interested in making a major economic discovery. We're not interested in what may be very interesting geologically or something like that. Major economic discovery, so that the effort gives back the reward. And the effort is certainly giving back the reward many times over now, but it's taken a very long time. And I quite understand people saying, "Oh, we've heard the story before." The story has changed. It's no longer that we're out there looking. We have found it, and found it on a large scale.
Indeed, and it's very exciting, and I'm glad we're part of it.
It's very exciting.
I'm just a bit concerned your timer's going to go off, Kev, like last night at the table, with when Professor Conroy was doing his speech, the pips and everything.
Yeah, we can be.
We have a good team, and a good team going forward, both from a management point of view and a technical point of view. And again, that's very important to have the right people. You've met them now yourselves, a number of them. They're all pretty good people.
Yeah.
Very good team.
It is. I can see it's a very good team. You've had the same staff for a long time. I mean, I had a good conversation with Carroll, and you worked with his father on Gal, and I discovered that from having the conversation with him. So even that is being kept in the family. Obviously, his father worked with you, and now he's working with you. And he's a very, very solid guy. I can see that, he's financially taking the company forward in a very wise way. And, as you said before, some of the family members and the staff that are there have all been there for numbers of years, and there is a lot of loyalty, and this will help the business without doubt.
Well, absolutely. But and the family is absolutely crucial and important. We've carried it and been prepared to carry it, and prepared to move forward, prepared to be involved, and with very good people succeeding us to continue that process. But we've also got very, very good staff members, or not family members, that have come to work with us, have, as you rightly said, stayed on working with us, and they're very important as well. And that will continue, a blend between family and totally non-family people, because that's how you're going to succeed and continue to succeed.
Very good. So we'd normally ask you what being on the Sunday roast, Richard, what your favourite food is, but we know it's absolutely the best beef, obviously well cooked, well done, as you say. But we're going to mix it up a little bit and change things. We're going to ask you, what's the best advice you've ever heard or received?
Probably to make your decisions with great care and blend in those decisions ideas. When some people, all of us have very good ideas at times, but to combine those with the reality of accomplishing them. That requires two things. And one is that you have to see things, look at them in a fresh light. And if you do, it's surprising what you see. There's a tradition which I myself experienced. If you've ever been to Africa or ever been to one of the places there, I walked with a chap, a guide, and he pointed out a tree to me a couple of 100 yards away. And he said, "What do I see?" And I said, "I see a tree. What else do you see?" And I looked and looked very hard, and all I was still seeing was the tree. But I knew there must be something there. And a moment later, the deer or antelope that was there made a slight movement, and suddenly it all became very obvious. And I think if I were giving advice to someone, it would be along those lines. Look at something that may seem very familiar, very obvious, very definite. Just check, is there anything extra about it? Is there anything different about it? And then in a very purposeful manner, approach or do whatever you decide to do in any industry. It doesn't matter whether it's gold, other industries, the mining section, or things totally different. There are certain basic principles which apply. There's always luck, by the way. Yeah, that's something that's totally outside your control, except that if you've taken a measured, very hard-working approach to something, sometimes luck comes along as well.
Very good. Yeah, we've never heard that one before. I like that a lot.
Very good. Again, thank you for your hospitality, Professor Conroy. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to coming back next year and seeing where we're up to.
Yeah, and a big thanks to Maureen Jones as well for her hospitality.
You're welcome.
So Professor Richard Conroy of Conroy Gold and Natural Resources, thanks very much for your time. Okay, well, yeah, it's always good to catch up with Richard, and I mean, what a great visit. And obviously, Jonathan, you heard from Jonathan as well earlier on in there, as Jonathan came on as an investor in Conroy Gold, and he accompanied us to the site visit, and he was very impressed with what he saw. So, what is the take home from that visit, Kev, in terms of what we've seen, the differences in progress in the last 18 months?
Massive from the point of view of being spent on the ground. I think probably more money's been spent on the ground in the last 18 months, the previous 5 years. They're moving clearly as a target. Stroke size is vast. It really is big. 3 kilometers with 2 kilometers. You get into some of the world's biggest mines are smaller than this, maybe 3 kilometers long. I think Kevin mentioned one. 3 kilometers long and 10 to 65 meters wide. Sheer volume of material that is gold bearing in this would be, I don't know, it's hard. It's actually quite hard to fathom. And then on top of that, you got Clontibret, other one that's got 123 grams per ton with visible gold, which we saw. Premier are basically paying for everything, all the staff, all the drilling, every hole they stick down 200 meters is costing 50 to 60,000 euros. So it's all being paid for. By the middle of next year, they should have qualified for their 25% and finished stage 1. They will then elect to go to stage 2. More than likely, if you spent that money, you would have walked away long before now. And then it's game on. I think what you'll see then is excessive drilling in the areas that they choose. JORC reports coming out, etc., etc. So I see 2024, it's going to be a game changer, and people will see the perspective of what is going on, I think, because it is much, much bigger than I think anybody can imagine.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think obviously we really only saw Clontibret last time, and that, as the professor just alluded to, the 500,000 ounces or just over is only circa 20% of that license. So that the potential there alone, if they, as you say, go deeper and expand out could go up to, an extra 250,000. That's being very, very conservative. But if you look at Clay Lake and that distance we saw from the top of the hill expanding over to where I think it was like the windmill was, which is about a 3 kilometre strike zone and up to maybe 2 kilometres wide, that could be absolutely vast. And even the professor said last night, didn't he, that alone is a much, much bigger prospect now, isn't it, for them? And obviously to see the actual drill bit turning and the cores being pulled up from sort of like 128 meters down, it was great. It was great to see the 2 rigs in operation there. It was all systems go, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to see an operation, them drilling and coming up with the cores, and then the cores are being tested and so on and so forth. So yeah, as Conroy said, there's going to be some very, very interesting assays coming out over the coming months. And, I don't think that's going to stop now. I think there's going to be a run now of information that's going to be coming out, and people are going to see what it is that, they're invested in or they're going to choose to invest in. So we will see.
Yeah. So in terms of other news this week, not a massive amount to report. I think Helium 1 had a bit of a shocker on Friday, technical issues with the drill bit, etc., or operational problems. So there's a bit of a decline on that. But obviously, there was a good RNS from Tech Minerals when we spoke to Robin Rundle, didn't we, on Monday, related to the smaller scale shredder being provided to the Warwick University. And that was a really good chat with Robin. So it suggests that people, if you haven't heard
that's a great scenario. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it, because basically what you're looking at is the experts in the field have decided to choose recyclers to produce their equipment. So what sort of endorsement is that?
Yeah, exactly that, and the people involved there, as you say, and it'll give them a kind of a benchmark to be able to see the best ways to process the different types of, the verticals, as they refer to them, that they put into these shredders, whether it be a vape or a laptop battery, to refine it, the time to shred it, and the way that they can kind of like hone and research the ways to get the best products out the other end, the black mass, and also from that point of view, how they can process the black mass rather than sending it off. I think that currently they have to send it off to places like China and Korea to get the real. Asia seems to be that Japan is one of the countries, I think, they have the best processing facilities or processes to get the 90-95% separation techniques on this black mass to take, to separate the lithium, the cobalt, etc. So very interesting. I'm very excited to see how they're going to use this research and data from WMG.
Yeah, and then financial update is 4 times the value if you refine the black mass. Yeah, that's going to make some significant financial impact. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, well, we think we've talked long enough, and we've got a plane to catch as we head on to our next adventure down into Rwanda. So I think on this note, we'll say thanks very much for listening. And as I say, if you want to hit the subscribe button and then the bell icon to receive any notifications of any future episodes. Thanks very much for listening.
Yep, thanks for listening, and we'll give you some reports from Rwanda next week.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.